am Sue Webley. Welcome to another episode of Inspire. Listen, that thing is such a bop. I'm so excited to hear that intro music. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Inspire. I'm so happy to see you. First of all, let me change this. This is the wonderful thing about going live. I want to make sure people follow me on my Inspire page. That's what happens when you pull double duty, right? So when you also work in live stream production and you live stream produce your own show. So let me fix this. There you are. Okay. Go ahead and follow me. Inspire with Sue W on all of those platforms. Welcome again. Welcome Facebook. Welcome YouTube. Welcome Instagram. If you see me looking like this, I am waving to the Instagram folk. Chuck out, I see you coming in already. It is so exciting to be here for another Saturday morning with each and every one of you as we continue our Pride Month series, A Matter of Faith. And so I hope that you are sharing this broadcast this morning because I'm so excited about our guests that we have get ready to come in a few minutes to come and hang out with us. And so, as you know, let me throw this up on the screen. We are doing this all month. So last week we had the phenomenal Reverend Don Abram, who's the founder of Pride in the Pews. We, of course, today we have Reverend Marian Edmonds Allen, who's the executive director of Parity. Next week, we're going to have Reverend Dr. Katrina Rosewarren Marsh, who's the executive director of the Open and Affirming Coalition for the UCC. Then we'll have Crystal D. Cheatham, who is the CEO and founder of the Our Bible app. I'm so excited that we get to have her because I've downloaded that app. I don't know if anyone else uses that app, but it's phenomenal. And then we had to wrap it up with the great, the great Bishop Yvette A. Flunder, who is the presiding prelate of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. Listen, I need you guys to join in every single week because we are just going to have a good old time talking about faith. I want you to do me a favor. As you are sharing this out with your friends and your family, I want you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. You can head on over to our Facebook and our Instagram pages at Inspire with Sue W. And also head on over to our website at www.getinspired.live to subscribe to our newsletter. We don't want you to miss out on anything that's going to be happening with Inspire. We have some exciting things happening with Inspire. We don't want you to miss it. Okay. So head on over there. You can also, if you are someone who is in the market, right, of inspiring others. If you are on a mission or you know someone that is on a mission to create change while inspiring others to do the same, we want to hear from you. So you can join us on a future episode of Inspire. You could go right to the website and book your appearance. book your appearance, right? So again, that website is www.getinspired.live to book your appearance today. You can also find us. I'm doing all this housekeeping first. You can also find us on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're at Inspired with Sue on all of those platforms. So you know how I do if you've been with me any amount of time, and I did this last week, and I should have had this in my cup already. I want to know what you were sipping on. I always have coffee in my cup, and today's cup is my Inspired Pride cup. Now, I know last week I said that um I would have a link. I'm going to have the link for those of you that want Pride swag. I'm going to have that link for you on Monday. But if you're interested in this Inspired Pride Tumblr or Pride of Deeper Love shirt or an Inspired Pride shirt, inbox me, let me know, and I will make sure that you are one of the first to have that link when it goes live. So Pride of Deeper Love and Inspired Pride. Might have some other ones up there too. So let me know, inbox me, and I will make sure that you have that link first and foremost. Hey, Chuck Hunt. Oh, hey, here this is Reverend Dr. Marilyn Pagan Banks. How are you? Listen, you are drinking coffee with coconut milk. Chuck Hunt, what are you drinking? Instagram, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? What's in your cup? Do you have coffee, tea, water, orange juice, apple juice? What do you have? You know, I have coffee in my cup. Let me take a sip. And I needed that coffee this morning. So good, good, good. Do me a favor again. Go ahead, share this broadcast. We're getting ready to have a wonderful conversation with the amazing Reverend Marian Edmonds Allen, again, the executive director of Parity. And I am going to go ahead and read this wonderful bio of hers. And so I am, well, I'm grabbing the bio because I just had it. What is wrong? Come on now. I'm all discombobulated this morning. Here you are. All right. This is why I appreciate, one, that I'm live, and two, that I'm with family, so I can have a little hiccup and it be okay. All right, let's hear about Marian. Reverend Dr. Marian Edmonds Allen is the executive director of Parity, a New York City-based national nonprofit that works at the intersection of faith and LGBT concerns. She's also the director of Blessed by Difference and Holy Dialogues and the co-chair of the International LGBT 4B Roundtable. Marian has worked with youth and families in various denominations and settings throughout the country for more than 20 years, focusing on strengths-based interventions and supports to affirm beliefs and faith practices for LGBT persons. In 2013, Marian was named Person of the Year by Q Salt Lake for her visionary leadership, and in 2015 was named a Petra Fellow for her work with LGBT homeless youth. Mary's research interests and personal passions include religious freedom and healing the divides that fracture our world and our lives. She is the author of Covenantal Pluralism, and we're going to talk more about that. Religious Freedom and Mission, Evidence for Healing the LGBT and Faith Divide. She's a sought-after speaker and author who enjoys connecting individuals with their gifts and passions for improving communities and the world. Marian attended Western Theological Seminary and Eden Theological Seminary and has served in many pastoral capacities, including church planting, parish ministry, and chaplaincy. Previous positions include Executive Director of Outreach Research Centers, the National Program Director of the Family Acceptance Project, Executive Director of the Utah Pride Center, and Justice Ministry Supervisor at Auburn Seminary. Marian is married, has 4 children, and is a passionate skier and outdoor enthusiast. And she's also a doggy mama. She's a doggy mama, and she's so many things. And she is also my dear colleague and friend. And it's so amazing to have you here with us, Marian. Thank you.
Oh, Sue, I'm so excited to be here. This is fabulous, and I want some of that pride swag.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna
gonna have to
inbox
get
you.
that link out. I'm gonna have to. Hey, Deacon Sugar Bear. Yeah, let me know what you all are sipping on. Again, Instagram waving over here this way. But Marian, as I ask other people what they're sipping on, what are you sipping on this morning?
I've got some nice peach tea
Ooh,
this
peach
morning,
tea.
but it does have a kick.
Okay, what's
Yep.
the kick?
Well, caffeine kick. It's early in the morning here in Utah, so a little caffeine kick.
Okay.
Another kick later.
Okay, is it mixed? Is the peach flavor? Is it peach flavored tea or because usually like is it like a herbal tea or is it just like a peach flavored tea?
It's peach bergamot.
Peach bergamot.
Yeah, yogi tea.
Okay,
Yeah, so a little
yeah,
zen in
that
the morning.
bergamot is
But
the kick. It's the kick.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I love bergamot. Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for having something in your cup. What is it? Eastern time? What time is it there in Utah?
It's mountain time
What time is
here in
it?
Utah. Yeah, so it's a little after 8.
Oh, it's a little after 8. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. It's okay, yeah. So
yeah.
so it's like 2 hours?
Mhm.
About 2
Yep,
hours? Okay, 2 hours
yeah.
behind. Well, thank you. Thank you for getting up early morning to
Oh,
come
wouldn't miss it.
and hang out with me today. So, as I read your bio, like you've had an incredible journey, right? So tell us a bit about Parity and what led you to becoming executive director.
Well, it's been a weird journey to get where I am, and it's interesting because people meet me and have, kinda think, "Oh, well, I guess I can figure out who she is. She's a queer leader in the community, and okay, that's her." But actually, my journey to get where I am today is not that at all. It's kinda different. I grew up in Maine,
Mhm.
and I always felt a call to ministry. So, what I did was I attended a ton of different churches when I was a kid and ended up at an evangelical church, a Free Baptist church in Maine, and then I went to an evangelical college. So, I was super conservative, married a man that I
Mhm.
met at college. I was 19 and started having kids and became a deacon and an elder in the Reformed Church,
Yeah.
and that was kinda my journey, and until one day my husband decided he was gonna do something else, so he left, and so there I was with 4 kids, and I'd been a stay-at-home mom for a long time, like 15
Wow.
years. And I thought, "Okay, what am I gonna do?" And then I started thinking about ministry again, and that's when I started this journey to become a pastor, but it was within a conservative faith tradition at Western Theological Seminary. So
Mhm.
I plugged away at that. It took me 5 years to get to the end of that, and at the very end, when I was doing clinical pastoral education, I met my very first out queer person, and I was
Wow.
40 years old, and it rocked my world. I'll tell you, Sue, it really did. I wasn't
Mm.
sure how I felt about that,
Yeah.
but I thought, "Okay, I'm gonna become a pastor. I need to learn to relate to everybody, even those
Yes.
people." But my, CPE supervisor, I think he had figured me out before I figured myself out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so our small group work that we did together really started to focus on LGBT things, and then I figured out my ugly duckling swan story that I was queer myself, and then
Mhm.
that started the journey of progressive theology, working with queer homeless youth, and now at Parity today, which I love.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that journey with us. So how was it for you once you because you are what some people will call a late bloomer.
Yep.
So how was it not only navigating right the religious space and the faith space realizing that you were queer. How was it navigating like your other relationships, your relationships with your family, with your children?
The faith thing was difficult. It was, wrestling, and I was worried about telling my kids especially, so I decided I would tell them all separately. And one of my children, I decided, "Okay, we're gonna do a car trip because that's where parents have these serious conversations with their
Mhm.
kids," you know? So we're driving to a play, and I turned to my child who at the time was 13, and I said, "I have something I wanna share with you. It's important."
Yeah.
And my child said to me, Mom, I have something I wanna tell you too." So we said, "Okay, who should go first? Who should go
Yeah.
first?" And so I went first, and I told my news, and then my kid said, "Mom, I was gonna tell you that I'm gay." So my kids really took it great.
Wow.
So now I have 2 trans kids, and
Wow.
I have 2 cisgender kids, and
Mhm.
we are a happy family. I love my kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. As you were sharing your story, you talked about the individual that you saw, your first like out queer person of faith. And I was thinking about my own story because and I had Danny on my show a few months of like, I think it was last month. And I remember I'd been out of the church for a long time. So, I tell the people, and you already know, I was raised Mormon. And so once I left home, I just didn't have anything to do with church whatsoever. Still trying to, I guess, find myself, figure out like who I was, figure out life, right? And I saw Danny. I started going to the LGBT center in New York, and Danny, no matter where Danny was, Danny had her Bible, walked with her Bible in the club, at
Whoa.
the center. And I was just like, what is this? So that intrigued me. And I began to talk to her, and she invited me to her church at the time, Oasis of Love in Harlem, at the time. And it was the first time that I walked in and saw everyone that looked like me, right? All of God's children, right? In their authenticity. And I cried. I don't think I heard a word that, because I cried the whole service. And it was really the first time I felt that God loved me just as I was. And so I say that to say that it's important being out and living authentically and being bold about your faith at the same time is important because you save someone else's life, right? You lead someone else back to relationship with the God of their understanding just by showing up. So I thank Danny, and I think the person that you saw, right? Because I know that also helped you to not reconcile your relationship because you already had a relationship with the divine, but to understand that yes, I am queer and I am a person of faith, and I love God and God loves me better, right?
Amen. Amen.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank all of you who are living out loud, proud, authentic, and being bold in your faith. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Hey, good morning, Bishop Bonnie Radden. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Rainier, thank you for joining us. Do me a favor again and share this conversation. I am chatting it up with the wonderful Reverend Marian Edmonds Allen, who is the executive director of Parity, and we're already having a good time. We're already having a good time. So, can you talk about during your tenure as the executive director of Parity? Um, what are some of the key milestones that you have uh, achieved as ED? And what are some challenges that you faced so far?
It's it's been a lot of us working together. So just
Mhm.
to say that right up front, Sue, I have a fantastic board and Sue is on my board, I have to say, and I'm so happy about that. And so the board and our volunteers work with me to do some things that are actually kind of difficult in our culture right now, because there are a lot of folks that are LGBT, yes, and there are other folks who are faith, yes, but putting the 2 together can be difficult for folks.
Yes.
However, there are some tremendous allies in the LGBT and faith world. And one of the actions that we did at first, and this was in 2016 when I first started at Parity, was our Glitter Ash action. And what that is on Ash Wednesday, we were sending out ashes with cosmetic grade biodegradable purple glitter that
Mm,
folks would use either in a church service, but often in a street service or drive-through ashes to go service. And this got national attention from folks who hated it. I'll be upfront. There are folks that didn't like it for various reasons, but
mhm.
there are other folks who loved it. And the reason they loved it was they said, "It allows me to come out as a queer person of faith, or to come out as an ally to
Yeah.
queer people." And that started Parity down the road of providing people, just people from all over the United States and now the world, different ways that they could participate in either coming out as a queer person of faith or being an ally. So glitter ashes, now we do glitter blessings, and we started doing that for Pride. It's a vial of holy oil from Jerusalem that has glitter
Mm,
in it, and we started it so that church members and pastors could go to Pride and offer blessings to folks.
yes.
But now people use it in church services, baby blessings, weddings, end of life ceremonies, name
Wow.
change ceremonies, and just in beautiful ways. Because folks have such wonderful ideas. Everyone
Mhm.
does, and I love to hear what people are doing with these things that we send for them to share God's love.
Wow, wow. That's so amazing. Thank you for sharing. If you have a question or a comment for Reverend Marion, please feel free to post them. Feel free to post those questions. Did you have an idea? I mean, what when you started like the glitter, what did you think would happen? Did you imagine that it would blow up? Well, in a good way. In the
No,
ways that it has.
blow up in a good way. Well, no, I didn't, because, you do things in the world, and I so many things that Parody does, that people do in the world, no one ever hears about, but for
Mhm,
some reason, this captured people's imagination, and it
mhm.
ended up in USA Today and all these different media outlets. I think because it struck a chord with folks at the time. It was when Donald Trump was elected,
Yeah.
and people were worried about the future, and people were feeling erased, and
Mm,
this was a way that everyone could just say, "Hey, I'm here, I'm queer, I'm a person of faith, you can't erase me."
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. So, one thing that we were talking about before we went live was the Pride devotional.
Mhm.
Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Sue, for asking about that. I love the Pride Devotional series because what we do is we ask everyday folks to think of a scripture, a passage from the Bible that is meaningful to them, and for them to write about why it's meaningful and to share a story from their life. And for me, it is so incredibly moving and beautiful to hear people's stories and to hear about the incredible faith that people have. We work with a group of LGBTQ Christians in rural Kenya, and they always write for our devotionals, and their stories of resilience are amazing to me. They had terrible flooding this year in Kenya, and their homes were washed away, some folks died. It's been terrible for them, and yet their faith is so strong, and they take care of each other, and in a society where being queer is can result in prison and all kinds of terrible things, and yet they're there, they're queer, they're people of faith, and they
Mhm.
have a witness, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have read the Pride devotionals. I was included in last year's
Mhm.
in
Yep.
2023, and
Yes.
so I've posted that link inside the chat for those of you. It is free. It's free to download.
Absolutely.
Some amazing amazing stories and just amazing reflections on the biblical text, and through the lens, right, through the unique lens of queerness
Yeah.
and the lived experiences of those who um, contributed. So that link is inside of the chat. Please, please, please go to that link and download your copy of the Pride devotional today. Going to jump. I want to talk about your work with LGBT homeless youth, which is my heart as well. But I also want to talk about your other book, Covenantal Pluralism. Can you first tell us what that is, covenantal pluralism, and then tell us a little bit about the book?
Sure, Sue. Thanks for asking about that. So I wrote that as part of my Doctor of Ministry work. And the reason I focused on that was because, and it's related to my homeless youth work, I found surprising allies that cared about homeless youth, cared about LGBT youth, and would put themselves out in the world, and they would get canceled and all kinds of things. And they didn't need to do that, and I wondered why on earth would someone who's secure in their position in society, why would they do that
Mhm,
for youth?
mhm,
And what I found was that there are folks that because of their faith, whether or not it's an affirming faith, some of these folks are Latter-day Saints,
yeah,
some are Seventh-day Adventists, and on, they find space in their own faith to not only love people who are different from them, but to act in ways to help people who are
mhm,
different from them. And by that, I mean LGBT youth and homeless youth. And this is called covenantal pluralism. And it's the idea that being strong in one's faith and helping someone, standing up for someone it's a faith practice, it's a religious freedom practice, and it also means that you're not compromising your own integrity by
mhm,
doing that. So, in other words, a Latter-day Saint could advocate for laws to protect LGBT young people and be safe from folks saying, "Well, you're not a good Latter-day Saint then if you're doing
mhm,
that." You could say, "No, the reason I'm doing this is because of my faith." So that's what
mhm.
covenantal pluralism is. It means staying strong in your faith and helping people who are different from you.
So in staying strong in my faith,
Mhm.
does that mean that if I took passages in the Bible at face value, especially all those clobber passages, right?
Yep.
And took them at face value, and I believe that LGBTQ plus individuals are going to hell, right? Or that they're an abomination. Could I hold that same belief and still work with LGBTQ individuals?
Um, well, so I would say theoretically, yes, but I would also say in practice, the folks that do this hold to a traditional theology, but
Mm,
hold to it in a loving way rather than a condemning way.
mm,
Yeah,
mm. Yeah, I wonder
yeah.
how they would reconcile that if they have a strong belief that this is wrong, but I'm going to help anyway, right? I'm going to assist anyway. And so maybe it is looking at these looking at them as God's creation, right? As seeing imago Dei, seeing the God, the image of
Mhm,
God in them, seeing them as human, maybe from a human
mhm.
perspective. I'm caring for the neighbor. I'm caring for my neighbor, and I just have to. Yeah, I'm wondering what their thought process is, because I don't believe that you could uh, support this is just me, LGBTQ plus, and anyone that you believe is the pregnant teen, right? The addicted, all of those things. Where so many of us are raised with learning like this is a sin, this is wrong. There has to be some type of change in you, I think, right? Something has to click. Something has to be different for you to be able to move beyond your embedded theology and say, I'm going to take care of my neighbor, right? That is more important. That part of my faith is more important than these things that I've learned, that I've been taught. So just kind of rolling it around in my head.
Yeah, well, Sue, I think you're exactly right, and it tracks with Fowler's stages of spiritual development. It's moving beyond the fundamentalism of the binary to
Mhm.
seeing the mystery and the divinity everywhere, and that's what I've noticed about these folks. Even though they hold a traditional theology of whatever it might be, they lean into the love part of their theology rather than the condemnation part, that they've progressed through spiritual formation so that they are able to love people. And what I also see is when they have personal experience with LGBT folks, I mean, how can folks not help but fall in love with us, right?
Mhm,
And they
right.
always do. They always do. The people that hate LGBT folks don't know LGBT folks.
Mm.
So, these people, they realize they have love in their heart, they reach out, they wanna help, and then that love just grows, and
Mhm.
that's what happens, and their lives are changed because they get to know folks like us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Chuck Hunt says Roman Catholic has that type of thinking, which Pope Francis is trying to be compassionate, but hanging on to traditional beliefs of their faith as the leader.
Mm,
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you
yeah.
for sharing that insight with us. So let's talk about your work with the youth. You have spent over 2 decades, right? Dedicated to supporting youth and their families. And so, what strategies have you found most effective in fostering affirming beliefs and practices within faith communities?
Well, what I've found working with traditional families, and a lot of my work is with folks who hold a traditional theology, is I say, lean into who you are as a parent. You love your child. That doesn't change. So continue to love your child, relate to your child. Don't stop asking your child about faith and about God, because too often parents who have a traditional theology, when their kid comes out, they stop talking about God because there's this terrible stereotype that LGBT folks can't be people of faith, and we know that's not true. In fact, my observation is LGBT folks are more spiritual than anyone. So just to say, so that's what I say to folks, lean into your love for your child, journey with your child. Your child hasn't become someone entirely different. You're learning a new aspect of their personality, and keep asking them about their faith and about God.
How do you, because that's one of the things that I've been wanting to do over the years and trying to figure out a way to do it is to speak to parents who are struggling with their children being queer, right? Some of these parents, so that we don't have, we have a less occurrence of homeless youth,
Yeah.
right? And many parents resort to kicking their children out, putting them out. They get kicked out of their faith communities, right? These places that nurtured them, that raised them up, and now they've been kind of ripped, right? They've been ripped from that community and cast out. How do you help parents get to the place where love is the primary thing for their child, right? Where love overrides faith in that moment, so that they can continue caring for their children.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, Sue, for talking about the fact that kids are kicked out, and that's been a big part of my work in the world is working with youth who have been kicked out and working to prevent youth from being kicked out. A couple different things help that I've found, and one is a program that we started when I was running an LGBT youth center. We called it Safe at Home, and it was matching a child that was about to be kicked out with an affirming, loving family of the same faith. So in this context, it was Utah, it was Latter-day Saints, and we still have a safety net network all over the country, and we would find out that a kid was about to be kicked out. We would find a family that matched their faith, and we would say to the parents, okay, if you kick your child out, your child is going to be sheltered and cared for by a family that's just like yours while you learn to love your child. And we found that what happened was the parents wouldn't kick their kid out because they would realize that there were other families just like them, families who were active in the church who would accept their child. And then that made them stop and think, well, maybe if they could accept my child, maybe I could accept my child. So
Mhm.
that was one thing we did. Another thing that we did with the Family Acceptance Project was we'd teach behaviors that would help a youth to thrive within a non-affirming family. So we would say, "Okay, you don't approve of your child being LGBT, but you don't want your child to be at risk for all kinds of terrible things, depression and more. Here are
Yeah.
things that you can do to help your child." But what I found along the way is that as soon as a parent thought about it and started working to help their child, that meant that without one exception, they were on their way to not only accepting their child, but becoming an incredible champion and even activist for their LGBT child and for
Mhm.
others. So
Mhm.
parents become the most amazing allies and activists for their own child, but and also for other kids.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little bit more. What the youth programming that you have at Parity? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I love you know, Sue, that I love working with youth, and I know
Yes.
that you do. So what we do at Parity is we help churches to provide LGBT-friendly programming for young people within their church, but also in their communities.
Mhm.
And we have a few different programs that churches can do, or we mentor churches. And the way we talk about it is that if you live in a community, particularly a rural community, perhaps your church is the only place that an LGBT young person could go and be accepted. So this is a really valuable ministry that you could provide. And also churches always want more young people in their churches. So
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
win-win all around. But maybe a church doesn't know exactly how to do it. So we just help them lean into the wonderful things they already know and say, "You know what? Pizza works for queer kids too.
Yes.
You know how to do this."
Listen, anything with food works
Yep,
with pizza, and anything with food would get a young person to show up.
that's it.
Particularly if these young people, so one of the things that we used to do in New York, uh through Rivers, we would have on Friday night gatherings for young adults, and many of those individuals, and even when I was doing the young adult retreats, right, many of those individuals weren't even a part of member of the they weren't even a part of the church, right, they were in the community, they were in shelters, right, homeless shelters, they were housing challenged, going couch surfing, right, but those are the types of kids, young people that would come, and we made sure we had food because we wanted to make sure that one, it might have been their only meal for the day, so we wanted to make sure that they ate, and had enough to take with them, wherever they were going. So it is vitally important, to food it's inviting, but it's also important because that might be a young person's only meal,
That's true.
and a
That's
lot of them you wouldn't know unless they said something to you. that they didn't eat all day, right? So I'm so grateful for for the programming that you do at Parity. We're gonna take a quick break and come back with some more conversation with the amazing Reverend Marian. Again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to post them, and I will make sure that Reverend Marian gets the opportunity to answer those questions. So we'll be right back. All right. I'm so enjoying this conversation with my dear friend and colleague, Reverend Marian. Again, we are in our Pride Month series. We're in our Pride Month series. And so this is the second week of our series. And we have amazing guests coming up throughout the end of the month. That includes Reverend Dr. Katrina Roseberry Marsh, Crystal D. Cheatham, and also Bishop Yvette A. Flunder. And so we want you to join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern for Inspire. I want to remind you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. I'm at Inspire with Sue W on Facebook and Instagram. I'm building up those social media platforms. So please follow Inspire on those platforms. You could also head over to our website at www.getinspired.live to learn about Inspire and to also book your appearance, right? If you are someone who lives to inspire others, who wants to create change in other people's lives, in the communities, and in the world, we want to hear from you. So head on over to www.getinspired.live to book your appearance today. We're also on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. We're in Inspired with Sue on all of those platforms. So I'm going to do this every week until Pastor Yanni gets a kidney, right? Our dear sibling, Pastor Yanni, needs a kidney donor. And so she's in search of potential donors who are fairly healthy, who have the blood types A or O, and the courage to commit to surgery and save her life. And so she'd love to share the safety measures with you. You can email her at peacepeopleinc@gmail.com to contact her and her family directly. That's peacepeopleinc@gmail.com. You can also head over to emerylivingdonor.org and fill out the survey and just enter her name, Ayana Davis. So let's work together to help Yanni get her kidney. Let's work together to help Yanni get her kidney. So some things coming up: a Source of Pride virtual service taking place on Saturday, June 22nd at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is sponsored by LGBTQ Faith Matters, Healing Spiritual Trauma in Communities of Color, and is going to be led by our very own Reverend Dr. Rainier Amin, who is the founder of LGBTQ Faith Matters. Listen, I don't want you to miss this amazing service. I think it's going to be less than an hour, right? So come on out. It'll be on Dr. Rainier's pages. It will also be on Cara Solutions and Inspire's pages as well. Come on out. Let's celebrate Pride together, a source of pride. Also want to let you know that the next Pink Love Lab Live is coming up on June 27th, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, Dr. Renee Amin, who's the relationologist. I love that title, the relationologist. So that's coming up. If you were a part of the previous two, you know it's a good time. You know it's a good time talking about love, life, and everything in between. And so if you happen to be viewing on a television screen or through your laptop right now, you could scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now to submit an anonymous question, or you can text Rainier Amin 034. Text Rainier Amin 034 to 37607 to submit your anonymous question for a chance for that question to be profiled on the next Pink Love Lab Live. Pink Love Love Live is a member of the Inspire Network. Woohoo! And so it is our inaugural show on the Inspire Network. And so the Inspire Network is where inspiration finds its voice. And so we offer everything from consultation to full live stream production and branding packages. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, audio or video podcast, social media management, website design, all of that for your show, please reach out. You can email me at sue@getinspired.live to find out more information about that. And again, I want to be sure that if you are someone you know on a mission to create change while inspiring others to do the same, we want to hear from you. We want you to join us on a future episode of Inspire. We have openings right now in July and August. So join us in conversation. Visit us again at www.getinspired.live to book your appearance today. And with that, we are going to get back into our wonderful conversation with Reverend Marian. Welcome back. I want to check these comments. Yes, Maya says a safe space and food will always draw the youth. Here's a question from Bishop Bonnie, Reverend Marian. How would you encourage churches that are LGBTQ affirming and inclusive to grow their youth departments? That's a good question, Bishop Bonnie.
I love that question, and I bet, Sue, that your listeners have some great ideas too. Some ideas that come to my mind is letting young people have some ownership in a way of church services. So including LGBT young people and other young people in church services is always wonderful. Having them preach every now and again, service projects, having young people choose a service project in the community and having them lead on that is fantastic. My thought is that young people are so darn smart, and empowering them to, okay, tell us what you're thinking, tell us what you see would be beneficial to our church and our community, and following their lead, that'll attract more youth too, because youth want to do fantastic things in the world, and they do every day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for responding to Bishop Bonnie's question. Again, everyone, if you're listening and you have a question for Reverend Marian, please post it, and we'll make sure that she gets the opportunity to answer that. So, you mentioned the work in Kenya, right? So I want to shift to or pivot to your work as the co-chair of the International LGBT 4B Roundtable. So can you tell us, one, what is FORB? Forb. What does that mean? And what types of global challenges have you been facing at the intersection of faith and LGBT rights? And how is the roundtable working to address them?
The International Religious Freedom Roundtable, so FORB stands for Freedom of Religion or Belief, and then the other part that's not in that acronym is non-belief. So religious freedom is for the tagline is everyone, everywhere, all the time. And I started attending different events in the international religious freedom community several years ago, and they were all afraid of me to start with, because, okay, well, here's a queer person showing up in a religious freedom space. What are they up to? But then they came to realize that I was there because I'm a person of faith and because I care about human rights around the world, and that's what religious freedom is all about. It's caring about human rights. There are folks who use religious freedom to hurt others. I mean, I will not discount that, but they are in the minority, and a good 80-90% of folks in religious freedom are there because they care about all people. So the Religious Freedom Roundtable, the LGBT one that I co-chair, is meant to bring together LGBT organizations, national and international, with the powerful religious freedom and faith organizations in the field. So I notice that we're just so siloed sometimes that queer organizations are doing great work. There are other organizations doing great work. If we could work together, we could do so much more. So that's what that organization is working to do, to introduce folks to each other and say, we all care about human rights. Let's work together.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
Thank you
in
so
terms
much.
of the challenges, I mean, we in Uganda and different places, it's really tough. In Russia, all over, it's really tough to be LGBT. It's a matter of life and death. So it's these organizations that can bring power. We're starting a corporate council to bring the power of global corporations to exert pressure on governments to make a change, to keep LGBT people safe where they live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. I'm just so inspired by all of the amazing work that you're doing, um, and partnering with other organizations to do this work of faith and justice and activism. So thank you so much, Reverend Mary, for saying yes to your particular call. So you've held uh, so many roles, so many pastoral roles, from church planting to chaplaincy. How have all of these experiences influenced your leadership style and your approach to activism?
Hmm, what a great question. I haven't thought about it that way.
Mm.
It's it's been a God journey for me, and doing things that I never thought that I would do. And so it's been a learning experience all the way, which I love. I love learning new things. And in terms of my leadership style, what I've been learning is that the partnerships, the collaborations, the folks that I find with bright eyes that care, those
Mhm.
are the folks that I wanna work with. And it's bringing all these folks together, even if they think maybe they don't like each other because they have different political ideas, but they
Yeah,
care about the same people. It's bringing those folks together and then helping them talk to each other. So I don't need to be the one doing all the directing and all that. People have such great ideas. It's
yeah,
bringing them together and saying, "Okay, let's do this."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Bishop Bonnie has a follow-up question. She says, after the pandemic, many churches lost members and youth, not to the church, if you will, but to come inside the building. What can they do to draw them in or back? They like to sleep, lol, laughing out loud. And so traditional church Sunday mornings seem not to be working to draw youth, especially on the West Coast. Can you share any creative ideas that you have that churches might try?
What another great question. The church spaces that we have that are underutilized are such a community resource.
Mhm.
So, my thought is, and kinda back to the youth-led service projects again, is to say, "Hey, how can we use this space in creative ways that youth wanna go to?" And that could be, "Okay, we're gonna have a contest here. Who can come up with the best idea? And if you come up with a great idea, we're gonna give you $100 in seed money so that you can do it." Something that gets people in the door. As soon as they get into a place, they realize that they belong there. And then they can start showing up at church, particularly if you say, "Hey, would you come and do a mission moment for us? Could you talk for 5 minutes about this wonderful service project you just did?" So making it inviting and leaning into our friendly selves as people of faith goes a long way. I would also say reaching out to local community organizations and saying, "Hey, we have space here. Would you like to have a meeting?" If that's possible for a church to do that, but reaching out and saying, "How can we help you?" That goes a long way for LGBT and other community organizations that are often struggling to make ends meet. It's really helpful to know that they have a partner in the community that's there for them.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Marion. So, looking ahead, what is your dream for Parity?
Well, I hope to work us out of business so we heal LGBT and faith divides. Wouldn't it be wonderful
Yeah.
if there's a day where people think LGBT and faith always go together, not never go together? So that's
Yeah.
what I'm working towards. I would love to not have a job doing this, and I'll go on and do something else. So that's what I work towards every single day.
What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
I think I'd go back to hospice chaplaincy. I that's it's a holy place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Lastly, for those that who are watching, who will catch this in the replay, who might be sharing this, if you're watching this and someone shared it with you, for those in our audience who might be navigating their own conflicts related to faith and LGBTQ plus identity, what advice would you offer to help them find a path toward reconciliation and understanding?
I would suggest that they reach out to their friends who are people of faith, and if they don't know folks, that they reach out to you, Sue, that they reach out to me at parity.nyc.
Mhm.
There's a lot of folks your lineup, Sue, for Pride Month is amazing. These are all folks that are a resource in the community. Our Bible app is incredible. Parity is a supporter of our Bible app because it's amazing. So
Yeah.
there are resources out there. Just reach out. LGBT people of faith are friendly, and we will welcome you.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Marian, for hanging out with us today. Uh, remember, Dr. Marilyn said, "Yes, that is the vision for a just harvest as well, to be put out of business."
Amen.
Amen, amen. Thank you again for joining us. Tell the people where to find you again. I put it in the chat, but let people know where to find you on on social media.
Parity.nyc. Look us up, and I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Listen, go over to parity.nyc. That link is inside of the chat. Discover all of the wonderful things that Parity is doing and how you can support, right? Uh, Organizations like this exist because of the support from people like you, and so we ask that you do support in the way that you're able to, whether it's giving money or just sharing about the programming that Parity has. All of that works towards continuing to help this organization do the amazing work that it's doing. Thank you again, dear sister, for joining me this morning. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Sue.
we look forward to the day when Parity is put out of business.
Amen.
I will see you again soon. Well, that is it for this episode of Inspire. I have been inspired by Reverend Marian, and I pray that you have been inspired as well. We are going to continue this all throughout Pride Month. Again, if you're interested in Pride swag, that link is coming. So just inbox me and let me know so that I can be sure that you are one of the first people to receive that link for you to get your Pride of Deeper Love shirt or your Inspired Pride tumbler or t-shirt, and I think one or two other designs as well. So let me know, inbox me, let me know. Thank you again for joining us today. I feel like so full. So I'll leave it out of here. I hope that you have a great weekend. If you happen to be celebrating a Pride event or going to a Pride event throughout the nation, be careful. Be careful today. Have a good time, but be careful. Lean into joy. Lean into joy today and every day. I love you all so much. I want you to stay lifted and motivated. And most of all, I want you to stay inspired. I will see you again next week.